Hi viewers, I hope everything is okay. Today I will be flying a raw data ILS approach and also some solo recoveries in the end. Today I will be also a single pilot. That means that the workload will be higher, so I need to do things earlier. So what is a raw data ILS approach? It is when you fly manual on the ILS without the flight director. It will be easier to fly if you are in landing configuration before the glide slope. And I will try to use the approach mode on the ND, on the navigation display, and try to fly after the track line and make only small corrections, up to 5 or 10 degrees only. And also I expect that maybe the wind will back a little bit as we get closer to the ground and also decrease. So let's see how it goes. So now we're getting into position to do the raw data ILS approach. And I will do the landing checklist and configuration a little bit earlier because I'm single pilot, and also it's easier to fly on the raw data because then you don't have to make big corrections to pitch and thrust, for example. So the descent and approach checklist is completed. So now we should do the landing checklist and start to prepare. We just need to get a little bit closer first. And I want to be configured in landing configuration before the glide slope, so I will do it on the localizer quite quickly and then read the checklist and then disconnect everything and try to fly on raw data, and also disconnect flight directors, of course. So flaps 1. Flaps 5. So next step is to select gear down, get some flaps out, 15. Slow down a little bit more, get flaps 30, then we will read the landing checklist. When we're done, we will disconnect flight directors, autopilot, autothrottle, and then try to fly. And we are at Manchester Airport today. Okay, so gear down and flaps 15. Let's keep this speed for a little while until we have the glide slope is active. So flaps 30 and landing checklist. Lights on. Landing checklist. Engine start switch is continuous. Recall checked. Speed brake armed. Landing gear down 3 green. Flaps 30 green light, and the cabin is notified. And landing checklist completed. Okay, so disconnect the flight directors, prepare, and disconnect. Also set approach speed. And switch to ILS. Reducing the thrust a little bit. So now the track line is to the left, the center line. So we should come back a little bit to the localizer and try to keep it trimmed because it will be much easier to fly. And then beware of the speed. So it's a lot of parameters to keep in mind. So the glide slope looks good for the moment, and also the localizer. So we should correct a little bit to the right and fly on track. And the pitch is very sensitive, I can feel it. So if you make very small corrections, you will change the vertical speed quite a lot. The minimums will be 200 feet above the ground level. And the closer we get to the runway, the more sensitive the needles will be.
$1,000.
1,000 checked. And I'm trying to keep the thrust at the same percentage. Getting closer to the runway. Very sensitive now.
$500.
Checked, 500. Should have the runway in sight soon. 100 above, approaching minimums. I will try to keep this attitude, runway in sight.
Minimums.
Landing. Speed brakes up, reverse, okay. $60 knots. Manual braking. So it was not on the center line, but the last part is quite difficult. We had some bad visibility. So let's stop here. So that went quite okay. It's very different from flying a small Cessna, for example. It's fairly easy to fly an ILS approach, but when you fly a much faster jet, you will have to react a lot faster. So it was quite a challenge. And now we can also try some stall recoveries. And you can get a stall in many different situations. For example, in a go-around or after a takeoff on the approach, or if you're turning. So the main idea is to decrease the angle of attack. So let's try and see how it goes. So first out will be the power on stall. And also one thing to mention before we go is that this summer we practiced a lot of stall recoveries in straight wing airplanes, and it's a little bit different. We used a rudder to keep the wing from dropping and to avoid spins, but now I will use the ailerons instead. Okay, engine stable, setting thrust. Thrust set, 80 knots, V1, rotate. posterior gear up. And now let's try to increase so that we can get a stall. Maybe I will reduce the thrust a little bit. And wait for stick shaker. So I'm pitching down and applying some power. And now we are regaining speed again. So the first thing I did was lowering the nose and then directly apply power, and it should recover. So now we're increasing the pitch with some power, and we will wait for the stick shaker, and we will try to recover. Push down, apply power. Stick shaker is out, we are picking up speed. And we're of course losing some altitude here. And now we have a safe speed again. So what I did was push down, lower the nose and apply power. So we managed to recover from that stall. Now let's try on the approach. Now we are on the approach, and let's say that you're flying manually. There's always a risk of a stall, and the problem is that we are very close to the ground, so here's where we have to act very fast. So let me disconnect. Now we are in landing configuration. So I will reduce the thrust, and let's say that I forget about the speed for a while. Speed is dropping. I'm still following the flight director to keep the glide slope. The speed is dropping. I have to trim, so I should notice that something is wrong. Still following the flight director. Okay, stick shaker, push forward, apply power. And then try to be easy when you level off, because otherwise we can enter a stall again. So let's try another one and see how it goes. Now we are 2,200 feet, and I will tell you how much altitude we will lose in the stall. So thrust to idle. (2,000). Following the flight director, speed is dropping. 1,900. 1,900. 1,800, stall, push forward, apply power, slowly regain. Speed is okay, so we dropped 300 feet there. Now for the stall in the turn. Let's say that you are on the approach, you want to turn to final, you are flying slow, and you are turning with a high degree of bank, and also your load factor will be higher, and that means that your stall speed will be higher and the margin to stall will be smaller. So let's see, I will try to recover from this one. Manual flight. And now I'm starting the turn, reducing the thrust. And I will keep 30 degrees of bank. And I will try to keep the altitude as well. And the speed is dropping, so I need more pitch up. Even more, and there we have pitch down, apply power, and straighten out the wings. Power, and then straighten out, and slowly pull up. This was very nice to try, and I can tell you it was a handful. I hope you have had as much fun as I've had in this video, and see you next time.